and your brief candle shall fade.
You've probably teleported from one place to another in an RPG before, but how often were those teleporters made from the petrified bodies of giant stone monsters? Such is the fast travel method of Fade, an action RPG that has you collecting crafting ingredients and cutting down baddies while on the hunt for the fragments of a legendary sword. With the first chapter already available in early access on Steam, Fade offers an encouraging start to its grim and challenging quest, enough to earn the creators at Azimuth Studios a spot in the overall category at Rogue Jam and a shot at the $500,000 grand prize. That kind of cash infusion could teleport Fade into all new territory, but let's see what it has on offer at present. Fade starts, as so many RPGs do, with your hero waking up with no memory of their past and a helpful friend to guide you down the path ahead. Except in this case, that friend is actually an immortal demon man named Kaith the Undying. Kaith tasks you with collecting and reassembling the shards of a legendary sword called the Oathbreaker in order to help him regain his lost power. And while we haven't played the whole game or anything near it, we're sure that's definitely a good idea and he's totally not going to betray you after you do his bidding. Just look at that face. It wouldn't lie to you, would it? To start things off, you pick between 3 different character types: a melee heavy fighter with a sword, a ranged archer with a bow, or a magic inclined option more focused on casting spells. Fade has a variety of weapon and spell options that can be swapped on the fly, no matter which character you choose at the start, letting you kick things off with a traditional sword but still swap to a bow later on. Weapon types also have interchangeable skills you can find later on to customize each of them further. And while we didn't stumble upon any during our playtime, Fade's Steam page also promises rare and unique weapons as well. The combat itself is very reminiscent of other third-person action games, with deliberate attack animations and a recharging stamina system to limit the pace of every engagement. Those animations can feel a little overly slow at times, but they also encourage more thoughtful timing of your attacks over simple button mashing. You can dodge, roll out of the way of attacks, and use items to heal to keep yourself safe mid-fight, and moving around to stay safe could become especially important against larger groups of wildlings. Of course, you won't be alone in your fights, far from it in fact. In addition to picking up new weapons and equipment, you'll also find new companions to aid you during battle. You can have up to 3 companions with you at a given time, and they'll automatically attack anyone you choose to pick a fight with, which is most people. For example, if you're not going to be using a bow yourself, having Kara the Silent Bow by your side to pelt enemies from afar can be incredibly beneficial. On the other side of the spectrum, however, is the melee-focused Kain, a cowardly guard you convince to join you on your journey who tries to make up for his aforementioned cowardice by constantly running headlong into battles. When you're not cleaving muscle from bone, these characters can also be talked to. Fade's relatively simple dialogue system lets you ask questions at certain times and even take on quests for the NPCs that you meet. The first one you get from Kain, for instance, is actually to go to your other companion, Kara, and convince her not to judge him for his cowardly nature. It's only an introduction to that system, but it's neat to see these characters can be more than just combat buffs and hints at Azimuth's future development plans. Your actions can apparently even influence the outcomes of certain quests, changing the results they may have. You'll also be grabbing crafting ingredients as you explore the dark caves and dangerous halls of each map. We didn't get too much of an in-depth look at how far the crafting system goes, but in its simplest form, you can do things like sit down at a fire to brew health potions, or interact with a crafting bench to make keys or arrows. Specific items can only be found in specific places too, which will surely grow in complexity as you uncover more locations and, presumably, if the team gets a big cash prize for, say, winning Rogue Jam. Lead developer Houston Holmes has said he's eager to splurge on solid voice acting and new assets to improve Fade's look and feel. While Fade is already available in early access right now, there's plenty more on the horizon for it. According to Azimuth, more content is currently in the works, including new items and enemies. But beyond that, there are plans for additional story content, as well as something called the Vengeance system, which will hook into a player's Twitch account and allow viewers to interact with their game in certain ways. Although the exact details of that system remain to be seen. Until then, what's here is already an ambitious and intriguing nugget of an RPG.